So how about if we sit differently? What can be a different sitting? Okay. Either chota circles, where maybe 2 people or 4 people together. That way we are able to discuss much better. Sit with your friends, sit with your family members, whichever way you are comfortable with. But if a family member is alarming, then don't sit with your family member, sit with somebody else. Can we, I don't know, whichever way you want to restructure, reshape, I'm going to ask you 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. Youth, correct? Somewhere there in the Bible it's there. Okay? Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 1. Let us remember our Creator in our youth. So your first point of discussion is, what is this huge potential that you have in front of you? What is this? Why do you think the Lord is interested in a young person? You're not going to tell me, okay? You're going to discuss that. That's one of the reasons why I said, have a group that is probably easier to discuss quickly. We can move on as well. So, what do you think is in front of you when the Lord is looking at you, especially at your age group? What kind of a potential is the Lord looking at for you? Go ahead, discuss. Got it? The person who's putting the projector, can we change this? It's odd for me to look at my own picture. Enough, I've seen enough. Thank you. So, give me some answers. Just pop out some answers. What did you think it is? We're going to have a lot of discussion, okay? The entire 2 hours is going to be discussion. So that's why you're sitting like this. So, what do you think? Just she'll answer.
More active, more open-minded.
Okay, more active, more open-minded. Okay. Change. Oh, this age group. Okay. Easier to change. Adapt. Build connections. Yeah. Very, very good, no? Yeah. Also easier to adapt to situations and changes, which is also a very positive thing. What else? Innovative. Okay, this age group is more open for innovation, and I see a long book being written there. So some points from there. Oh, same. Innovation was so much. Oh, okay. How about this group? Why do you think the Lord chose you at this age? Hot blood. Oh, Barbara. Arrows, hot blood. Oh, okay. Lazy. Oh, Barbara. Oh, lazy. So you have woken up even the photographer. And? And? Okay. Oh, yeah. There's an entire life ahead of us. Correct? A lot of opportunities out there. And so when the Lord looks at us, the Lord is probably looking at how much of a powerful arrow we could probably become in life. Okay? I go with the same analogy of this group. Sorry? Decision makers. We should tell that to politicians, yeah. Young people are decision makers, yes. Yeah. Good, right? I think when the Lord looks at us, the Lord looks at the potential that the Lord is having in all of our lives. Sometimes we don't see that potential, but when He sees and when He knows that it is at this age we could probably do a lot more than what we could do. So we could probably look at our careers, but wherever we are, like even what Pastor said just now, a few minutes ago, wherever we are, we can continue to pray, we can continue to reflect God's glory, God's presence through our lives, and that could bring in a lot of people to the Lord. I have a small paper with me that we're going to write down, and if you don't have a pen, somebody here has a pen for you or a pencil for you. I'm not sure what that have. Uh, just this self-awareness alone. Can we give this alone? Can you, first one? Yeah, it's all there. Can you give me some? I'll pass it on. Can you pick up one? And these are the most tough questions you're going to face. Okay. What we call it as a self-awareness exercise. Basically, very simple questions, 11 questions that are very simple, quick to answer. Pen? Everybody has a pen? Everybody has something to write also. You may need something to. Esther? You don't have anything? Keep that back. Okay, I'm sure by now, as you have looked at the question, it's I think one of the easiest of all questions to answer. 11 questions, easier to answer. It's like fill in the blanks. The first part of that fill in the blanks is already there. You just have to fill it up. You're going to write all of the 11 questions. You're going to fill it up. Now, just now. Yeah. No copying, no asking the other person. You can probably ask the second question if you want to ask to your closest friend. Otherwise, the rest is all, it's for you to write.
Nothing. Pastor, can you just explain to them what they have to do? Just fill this up. This group probably can.
Yeah, and then they will explain. Pens? Do you need a pen?
When
at perfect answers, okay? But we are looking at honest answers. Just be free. Just this is a small family of group that you have, and I believe that you are sitting with your friends anyway. So you will also get an opportunity to share this, okay, to the others. So keep that in mind. But not every question. I'll give you an opportunity where you only share what you want to share.
That's good.
But please answer all the questions. Easy questions, right? Start up of an exam. You can move on if you have finished. But I want you to answer all the questions, okay? Don't leave any questions blank. Finished? Because I believe that you've been true to those questions, I am not going to ask you to answer or share all of those questions to the other person. Okay? Because I don't know yet how close you are with the other person and how much revealing you are wanting to reveal to the other person. But what I'm going to ask you is certainly there are three things I want you to discuss. Which question was easy for you to answer? Okay? Which question was tough for you to answer? Which answer of it all surprised you? Okay. Which question was easy? None. Anyway, you do that discussion within your group. If it is none, why none? Okay. Okay. Which question for you was easy to answer? And then discuss that question. Tell the answer that you're comfortable about, that you've written. And then tell if it was tough, which question was tough and why it was tough for you. And after you've written the answer, one answer that surprised you itself, surprised you. One answer that surprised you of all the 11 questions. So 3 things. I'll give you few minutes to discuss it within the group and then we'll come back. Okay, go ahead, go ahead. Okay, done? Discussions done? Now, I'm not going to ask you for the questions. I'm not going to ask you to come forward and explain all that you discussed. But at least let us think about what we did on the self awareness exercise. Can we move on? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why did I hear from a group saying all of these questions were tough? I thought the questions were easy, but why did I hear from a group saying some of these were tough questions? Why did you think that these were tough questions? Oh, okay. So it's not Christian and biblical to think about ourselves. It's Christian and biblical to think about always the other. Okay, very very Christian. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Why don't we take time to think about our own self? It can be depressing. We don't have time. Okay. What else? We're always we always think about the others. Okay. 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 Is thinking about ourselves wrong? Then why aren't we taking time to think about it? No time. Yeah. Okay. Okay, reading through these questions, some of those questions at least, what came to your mind? Other than it is tough, what else came to your mind? We don't think about ourselves. Yeah, what else? Something good in us. Yes, yes. Which is very true. Which is very true. Yeah. Otherwise, why would God choose us? Remember now your creator in our youth. Yeah. What else? Scope for improvement. Yeah. Yeah. What does such an exercise do for ourselves? It takes time. It helps us to examine ourselves. What else? Correct. It opens up a door to some things that we don't even take time to think about. Let's put it that way. You said that we don't find time to think about it, and youth meetings like this at least gives us an opportunity to pause from our busy schedules, pause from the regular chain of events that's there or the pattern, and then maybe it's time that we think about ourselves. You think the Lord is thinking about us? You think the Lord finds potential in us? Okay. So it's also fair for us to know about ourselves, to also understand why the Lord is thinking about us. Correct? So that's why some of these questions, this is not the Bible of it, or this is not the entirety of it, but then what we've done is we just paused a little to say, hey, we all have some things in common and some things that are unique as well, that we have gone through. We all have a story. We all have chapters written in our story, and there's still more chapters to be written. And these questions helps us to understand that there is so much that we have not taken time to work with. Now, generally in your group, which question was the tough question for probably in random as you discussed? First one thing I like about myself. Wow. Okay, one thing others like about me, that was a tough question. Okay, what else? Present goal, okay, present goal. Your last question, that's the last question, right? My present goal is, okay, that was tough. What else? Now, when we forced ourselves to write answers to these tough questions, what did we do to ourselves? When we forced ourselves to find an answer to some of these tough questions that we will not naturally find for, what did we do to ourselves? Sorry? Go back and think, yeah, yeah. Examine, yeah. What else? Ask my neighbor, okay. One thing the other person like about me, okay. Isn't it surprising for us to consider the first question as a tough question? Why was that first question a tough question, yeah? We don't look at. Yeah, yeah. Find the please. Yeah, 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 yeah. Which is not wrong. Um, yeah, 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 yeah. Insecurity. Okay. Yeah, yeah. We were focusing on. We were focusing on the second question that we skipped the first question. Yeah, the cameraman comes out with unique answers. But which is very true. Many times we are focused on the other than we focus on ourselves. So there's a beauty there. That answer has a beauty. Correct? Yeah, but these are all things that we could think about. Think about taking time and pondering on some of these questions to identify that there is a purpose that the Lord has had a call on our lives. There is something that we can bring into God's kingdom, and that is why the Lord's hand is on us as well. Not to use us, but then He has seen the beauty in us. Sometimes we don't see our own beauty. We don't appreciate our own beauty, or we don't take time to appreciate and recognize the value that we have in our own life. But when the Lord chooses us, the Lord adds value into our life. And sometimes, and then the next, till the end of our life, the Lord is just bringing out that beauty from our life. Have you come across situations where you have just been you and people have accepted you? Or have you come across a situation where you just have to constantly wear a mask for people to accept you? Which one have you come across? First one or the second one? Second one, many times, right? And why do you think we wear such masks? Because we believe if we show who we really are, then they will not or they may not? Will not, may not, will not. Because so we pretend to get their attention. Okay, because we feel that if I am not so and so, then they will not accept us. Correct? Or they may not accept us. Or they will not. Pretend. Okay. Okay. So they say pretending is an art. But imagine if there are 30 people in a workplace, or 30 people that's there, and to get the acceptance of all the 30 people, we continue to wear a lot of those things around us. And then when do we come to a place where we can actually remove the mask? Really? Hopefully at home. Correct? Sometimes we wear so much of mask, we forget who we are. Correct? Because of the need for acceptance from other people, we end up wearing it. Suddenly we realize that removing that is hard, so it's safer to wear it that way. And then it is also difficult for us because we've forgotten who we are. That's probably why that first question is tough for us. Because we have not taken time. It's not that we have not taken time. Because of the way that we have continued. And you know what? Sometimes we also wear mask before God. Yes or no? Maybe. I know New Life Fellowship doesn't do that. Yeah, and Pastor Charles is also watching, so better. But very unfortunate, right? Because we've just forgotten the value of us, and we've come to a point where the value of us is defined by what the other person gives us as value. We have changed the gauge of the measurement of value. But then if I am here and maybe my daughter is here, and when the Lord sees me, do you think He values me more than my daughter? What do you think? No? Equal. He's not partial, correct? He's not unfair, he's fair. But sometimes we feel that they are valued, and many times our measurement of value is also based on somebody else's value. And that's why it's important when we say, let us remember our Creator in our youth. And then before the time passes away, the Lord has given us so many years of things that we could probably achieve and find value, so that at the end of it all we know who we really are, because there is a value that the Lord adds into all of our lives as well. And that's important for us to understand. So as we begin this journey, and as you've looked at that paper, please keep that paper to yourself. I'm not going to ask you to share it to anybody as well if you're not comfortable enough. If you're comfortable enough, find somebody to share it with you, reveal your answers. And every question you could actually find a lot of discussion points. All of those 11 points has a lot of treasure that you could actually explore for yourself. Something that I've overcome, something that I'm struggling, some personal goal that I have. You just can pick up one of those points and use it as a place where you can write your own chapter with the other person. So just that's probably a good start for us, for you to keep it to yourself and say, that's something that we can keep. Today's topic that we're going to discuss is about breaking free from controlling habits. Not that anybody has a habit here. It's just that in your journey of life, we could probably come across some situations where we may need opportunities to break free from something that unfortunately could cover us without our own knowledge. And so it's important that we find a way there. What is this habit? What is this controlling habit? How do we break free from controlling habits? Those things are easy for us to understand. There is a paper coming your way. It's like a work paper where you can just fill in the blanks. And again, there would be places where we can pause and discuss. Okay? We probably have an hour. So let us make the best use of this hour. And by the end of this hour, let us see whether we can fill up all. And also, there are 3 reflection questions below. We would also take time to talk about those reflection questions. Okay. Galatians chapter 5 verse 1. Galatians chapter 5 verse 1. Beautiful verse. Paul is writing to the church in Galatia. Okay, so it's obviously writing to Christians. So this is not a verse for non-Christians, but this is a verse for Christians. See what it says. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourself be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. Now imagine Paul is writing to a Christian community, to a church, to a young believers in that church, with the possibility to say, if we don't stand firm, we can easily fall into the yoke of slavery. Now, we all know when we accept the Lord, the old things have passed away, the new things have come. We are all been set free, and I believe that in our own personal life, we've been set free with many things. But there is some truth in what Paul is trying to say when he's writing this letter, and especially writing this passage, and especially this verse when he says it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. So obviously we know there is Christ there, and the point that he's trying to make is when Christ is there, there is freedom there. Okay, so Christ and freedom goes along, but he goes on to say if we don't stand firm, there is every possibility that we can also fall into the yoke of slavery. Correct? And that's something that we need to work with. Next, 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 19. Not just Paul, even Peter in his own way is also writing that. See what it says. They promised them freedom while they themselves are slaves of depravity. And that's the master word for people are slaves to whatever has mastered them. Okay, again, Peter basically is writing to Christians. Peter is writing to the church filled with believers, and then he's saying people are slaves to whatever has mastered them. So there is a possibility as we live our life, especially at a young age, that without our knowledge, there could be some things that we could allow that would end up mastering our life. Okay, it's not that it's a big thing, it's just that sometimes some of these habits that comes our way without our own knowledge has the potential to master us. Okay, which is not wrong. When I say such a word, we probably are thinking, come on, you're talking to New Life Fellowships, young people. You don't know to whom you are speaking to. Yes, I don't know. Okay, and so this is not for you. I can completely take that. But at least there are some tidbits that we can take it to our own profession, wherever we are, and whenever we work with young people, at least we can use these lenses to find a way to help some of these young people. So it's not for us. Okay, it's not for the 40 who is sitting here or 35 who is sitting here. But then the next few minutes of our life, let's probably take some time to think about within our own group and say, is there a possibility that something in our own day-to-day life and the habits that we allow without our own knowledge, that it could master us? It has a potential to master us. That's what Peter is trying to say. People are slaves to whatever has mastered them. Another version says, for a man is a slave to whatever controls him. So there is every possibility that something else could control our life. And that's probably what we are going to talk about in Sim. So what are some things that we feel in your own context or in your own culture, not with us, but that you have observed in the community that you live or you work with, that has the potential to master our life? What do you think? Could you discuss that within your group and come out with probably 5-6 things that you have observed, in your own culture, in the context, at this age group? What could be some habits or what could be some things that easily could cause us to get addicted to or to get mastered to? Could you come across? Could you discuss that within your group? Okay, easy, right? Can we? Which group is going to tell first? Whichever groups tell first, and if they have told, the other group cannot take those words. Oh, now ladies first. Look at that. Okay, we'll go this way. Okay, go ahead. 3 things. And once they said it, that's done, okay. We're not going to go back to those words. So you'll have to find something else that is new, okay. Go ahead. And that's enough. Okay, drug addiction, okay. Relationship addiction, okay. Okay. Temptations, okay. Relationship temptations, okay. No, only three. Please don't give them also a chance. Uh, comes this. So you are the. Yeah. Huh? Social media. Okay. Can we split the social media so others also get a chance? Okay, what is the social media? It's a big topic. Huh? No, only one you can say. Only one of the social media you can say. Rest, 2 more points. So, which one is that? Instagram. Okay, that's gone. Okay, what else? Multiple affairs. Multiple relationships. Okay, multiple relationship. That happens, is it? Okay. Sorry? What's the third one? Phone. Okay. Phone. Okay. One iPhone, Android phone, Samsung phone. What else? Phone is already said. Now give me something else. 3. Don't tell me you only wrote about the names of the phones. Gaming, okay. What else? Huh? 2 more. Phones is already said. 2 more. Oh, gaming, gambling. You're playing with the same words. Okay. What's the another GAM? No, you don't have another chance to. One more. Come quickly. Pornography, okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, money, work. Huh? Huh? Status. Okay, celebrity status. Okay, that's a good thought. Yeah. Yeah? No, not finished. Go ahead. Yeah, come on. Stealing. Okay, stealing. Actually, which is true. It is true. Yeah. Some people just without your own knowledge end up. Yeah. Money is told. Come on, you have 2 more to say. Yeah. Go. Obsessed with themselves. Possible, yeah. So you end up going everywhere. Gossiping, yes. Gossiping. Okay. Huh? Junk foods, overeating. Okay. Passion fruit, is it? Fashion. Okay. Depression. Chat GPT. Okay. Idol worship. Human. Superstars. Okay. Okay, let us come back. Let's come back to a place to decide. Shopping is an addiction. Is it? Wait a minute. Okay, let us come back to what this verse says. People are slaves to whatever has mastered them. Now, what we've seen is there are opportunities in this world to master our life. Correct? Something we allow, something else to master our life. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Some common controlling habits. So, this is where we were in points to say, okay, there are so many other dashes that we could come out with. Okay. So when I say I am free, maybe I am free, but there is every opportunity that we could allow something to overpower us. And it may not happen quickly, but then it has every potential, and that is probably why Paul says it is for freedom that Christ has set you free, because he probably wanted to see a Christian person who has to be free and not allow something else to master us. But then Peter and Paul constantly are also aware of the fact that in this world it is quite possible that without our own knowledge, there is every opportunity around us that we could allow something else to master our life. There is potential. Okay, so I don't want to be blind to a point and say, I am pure, I am holy, I am free. I don't have anything to master me. Maybe now we don't allow or have anything to master me. But let me tell you, just covering ourselves and saying nothing can overpower us is a very wrong idea. There is too much. The devil has seen so many Rennys in his life. The devil has seen so many of us in and through his life. And there is so much out there that has every possibility that could master our life. Now, is that wrong? In one sense, yes. Because what happens is when this habit continues to master our life, then at some point of time, we will be in a position where we allow them to dictate terms through us. And then we would suddenly will fall. And that's probably what we're going to look at. Can we move on to the next slide, please? So our first thing is, how do we identify a controlling habit? So yes, there is every possibility that around us, there is so many things in life that could probably control our life. A controlling habit is something you find yourself doing even though it can be destructive for us physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally, or spiritually. Okay, yes, I'm a free man, yes, I'm a free woman, but then at times we could allow this controlling habit to walk into my life. It is something that we find ourselves doing, even though it can be very destructive physically. So, in our own life, or let's not use this as an example, how could some of these things that we were telling could destroy our life? Let's just say one example that you said. Give me one of those. Okay, our Instagram, because you said social media. How could it destroy our life? It takes a lot of time, okay? Oh, it wastes a lot of time, okay? Okay, and so that's going to destroy our what? We have time in our hands, right? 24 hours is there. What does a few minutes of Instagram do to us? Huh? Okay, those minutes become hours. So, what happens? Why would it destroy us? Sorry?
Parents, we don't listen to our parents, they will start complaining about us
Okay.
and we become lazy.
Huh? Media is fake.
We start believing that what this person or the influencer that we are following is the right person, and we get influenced with these those things. And that's marketing, bro. Okay. David's job. First, I have a point.
Yeah. Yeah, let's listen to the point. Yeah.
Controlling habit. Now, for the point Instagram that they brought up. Now, there are certain people that use Instagram as their bread and butter. So, how can that be a bad habit?
Correct. Yeah. How can that be? So it's not controlling us.
But if it's your source of income,
Okay.
then you are forced or you have to spend that time. Like for YouTubers or influencers, like Vishal was saying, they have to spend that many hours making content.
But that's the thing. There have been a lot of influencers that have spoken up because they end up using Instagram so much that every minute has to be captured. They don't enjoy like what's happening around them. They just get addicted to posting the perfect picture.
You can say that.
But I'm saying, what does it do to us?
We can say that.
He started imitating the same thing. What
Okay. Yeah, okay. So how does it destroy us? What does it do to our physical body, our emotional body, our psychological?
You have this feeling that everything has to be perfect, you know.
Okay.
The picture has to be perfect. If it's not perfect, then you get annoyed. You won't get enough likes.
Okay. Yeah, so how does it become very obsessive? That's what I'm asking. Can it become obsessive? How does it become obsessive?
You can use that time for a productive thing
Okay.
instead of, scrolling through Instagram.
Okay. It can weaken our eyesight, so it does help. Okay. See, popular musician and a singer in India, especially in South India, who has come out with his YouTube's songs and various things. Recently, when we met with him, he was saying he came out with a song, and then morning till evening he wants to see how many views, how many, what's that, likes, right? How many likes and share and comments. And suddenly he realized 3 days of his life is gone. And almost all of the time what he's looking at is, he's not looking at the song, he's not looking at how much it has blessed somebody else. All that he is obsessed about is. So what has that done to us? Huh? Okay. Self-obsession, okay. So see, the possibility is there. It's not that we can master it always, but then there is every possibility when we allow that to master our lives. If this is the path that we take, see, I put that song there in YouTube so that it would bless people. But somewhere along the line, I'm not looking at how many people would have slightly but subtly, I have changed my direction. I have come to a point to actually see, I am looking at YouTube over the next 12 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours. What am I looking for? I'm looking for how many people have seen, how many people have liked, how many people have subscribed, what are the comments, and sometimes the comments are not good. So, you become upset with that, and then suddenly our focus is completely gone, right? What have I allowed? So a simple thing like an Instagram that we picked up, the minute that I wake up, what do? I'm opening it up to check my. Okay. Now what is happening to us? It's not harm. It's not yet harmful. But have I changed my track a little? And then as I continue on that journey, I have a fear of missing out. I am looking at it constantly, and then I allow this thing to take my time, like you said. And then, so this controlling habit is something you find yourself doing, and then slowly it could destroy us physically. So you consistently do something you wish you wouldn't do, but you find yourself doing it in any way. Next slide, please. Then it comes to a point where the writer of Romans is saying, see what he's saying, I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I end up doing. Beautiful verse. Where he is actually, Paul is trying to write there, and then he is saying, I do not understand what I do. I end up having this habit of continuing to do. For what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate to do, I do. Another version says this way, I do not understand my own actions. Bible says, I do not understand my own actions, for I am as far from habitually doing what I want to do, that I find myself doing the very thing that I hate. So it has a way to kill us. It has a way to pull ourselves out. So in any of these lists, the 3 plus the 3 plus the 3 plus the 3 plus the 3 and the 3s, wherever it is, all of this as enough potential without our own knowledge to take us out of track. Okay, so the challenge for us is also to find how do I identify the controlling habit. For us to understand, first thing is God sees our secret sins and vices. Can you move on, please? Greatest spiritual. See, all of these, we put this here, and lying, laziness is there. Okay. So what you say? Can you move on, please? God sees our secret sins. I'm sure you're also filling it up. Okay, there are fill in the blanks that are there, and I hope you're also filling all of those up that's there. Okay. God sees our secret sins. Psalm 139, 3-4. See what it says. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. So God actually sees. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord. Psalm 66:18 tells us that if we cherish sin in our hearts, that God will not listen to our voices and our prayers. That's dangerous, right? If we cherish somehow without our own knowledge, if we have taken or given control to these controlling habit, the Bible says God does not even have listened to our voices or even our prayers. That becomes a stumbling block for us. So what does it say? God sees our secret sins. So deep within, there is every element that the Lord sees within us. So why are controlling habits so powerful? Okay. God does, so we know God does take sin seriously. We'll move on because we have 4, otherwise I wanted to also find a way to discuss some of this, but we'll move on. There is a place where we can discuss. Why are controlling habits so powerful? Because the first one, go back, they slowly bind you. We don't even know how it binds us, but it does has the potential to bind us. Life controlling habits are formed at a pace almost unnoticeable. It doesn't kill us initially. It comes so subtly within us that we don't even know that it has come to our life. So there is this combination of, it has this potential to slowly bind us. See, a single thread, it's easier to break. Correct? We all know that, right? But then when threads get intertwined to each other, to a point it becomes a tough rope, then it becomes very difficult for us to break. And that's the way it is. Many times we think at any point of time, I can come out. Which we can. But sometimes the attraction is so powerful. Sometimes the pleasure that it gives are so strong. It satisfies our desires, it satisfies our lust, it satisfies our ego, it satisfies our pride. It feeds into some of those things that we are trying to overcome. One of those questions said, my biggest, what I have overcome. One of those things that I have overcome. But sometimes deep within, we are still human and we are always human. So we are filled with our own desires. We are very naturally filled with desires. And without our own knowledge, they slowly find a way to bind us. So by the time we come to a point to realize, we don't even know how we are caught up. We end up doing, and if you've been in a counseling ministry, you would probably know that how many of them fall into this trap, knowing that, we can at any point of time come out. It's like a cable. One single, it is easily broken, but then suddenly we realize so much of intertwining, and then it becomes very difficult for us to work through. They say bad habits are like comfortable beds, easy to get into, but hard to get out. Okay. The person who smokes is not addicted on the first pack of cigarettes. And I know this is not an example for New Life Fellowship, but I'm just saying it for the sake of saying. But you could add on to anything. It takes time after time, smoke after smoke, before the body becomes dependent on nicotine. Okay. The first thing, it doesn't happen. We can always come out. And which is true. We can always fight and come out. But we will, without our own knowledge, we would sometimes end up becoming stuck. And that's the challenge that is difficult for us to move on. The next stage, the next point, please. Not just it binds us, it also breaks our will. There comes a time when we suddenly realize that we are far too much into it, and when we look back, we realize it's too much of a long distance for us to get back. So we subtly fall into that trap. You have something, Andrew?
Pastor, isn't it important for us to separate or distinguish between vices and things that are not, because it not necessarily be termed as a bad habit. So, for the points that you gave, drinking over in party, can those be more towards vices like smoking, drinking, those kind of things? Or how can it also be associated to, like the point I brought up earlier, if doing something or spending that time on a specific platform, a social media platform, is there a means of livelihood? How can we convince that person that, hey, that's a bad habit?
Okay, I will say something. Content writing is not wrong. Okay, content writing, because that's my bread and butter. Correct? So, but let's put it in a larger term, workaholic. Okay, workaholic. Let's put it, that's a larger term. Okay. Can workaholism be wrong? When does it become wrong? When does it become wrong? Sorry? Yeah. So let's put it this way. In our priority of life, what are some things that takes the priority on a daily basis? Give me. Huh? Work. Work? Okay. Okay, work. Okay, work. What other things are important for us in our life? Family? Food? Yeah, of course. Sleep? Of course. What else? Relationship, building relationships. Okay. God, oh, of course, yeah. Barbara. Oh, Mama, New Life Fellowship, yeah, of course. Oh my God. Thank you, God. Now, when can this content creation become a place where it can harm us? When it takes the place of the other things to a point where we only think and eat that alone. So it has a potential. Anything in excess, it has the potential. So even the good things of our life can come to a point where we end up becoming obsessed on that. Why? Because that's our bread and butter. Then how do we rationalize that? Oh, I have to do it, then I will get the money, then I will spend time with my family. But have you realized so many families have been scattered or shattered because of that? Because you don't have a father, there's always a missing father. And the missing father always has a way to say, you know why? I am working for my family. There's a missing mother, and they will always say, I have to do this so that my children will get what they want. But in the process, what have we done? So there is a cost that we have to pay, even if it is good habits. So when it becomes a place where it controls us, then we realize we are sacrificing from something else. And if that's a priority, suddenly, like Priya said about God, where does God come in our life in terms of the priority when we get up in the morning, for example? Something that easily pushes away, is what? At this young age. How many of us have asked the other person, did you pray today? Did you read Bible today? What did God speak to you today? How many of us have the habit to ask this? Why? Because all of us assume that the other person is praying. Correct? All of us assume that the Lord is talking to all of us. All of us assume that the Lord is, we are spending enough time reading enough scripture, and we are meditating, and we are building ourselves up spiritually. But we don't have the habit of asking that question. But is that question important? Why is it important? Hey, if that is so important for our life, and you know what we would actually sacrifice if it's a busy day? Would we sacrifice our coffee, or would we sacrifice the water that we drink? Would we sacrifice the breakfast that we have? But what would we easily sacrifice? What do you think? Because nobody asks, no? And you know what? We are professional repenters. We know. We just have to ask for sorry and we can move on in life, right? And God knows everything. He understands. He can easily move on in life. We move on in life. Correct? Because we take that for granted. We don't consider that important. So we neglect. Because I have a busy day, I have to ask for Lord's help and grace and strength. It's not because I have a busy day I can sacrifice that. Because I have a busy day, I better be equipped to face that busy day. Our perspectives have to change. So yes, they have a chance to bind us. They also have a chance to break our will. I heard an example about yesterday in the Dubai church. I shared example of a camel. So my daughter came in and said, "Dad, actually that example is about an elephant and not about a camel." I said, okay, context is better. Camel in Dubai is better than but they have a strength. You know how these strong elephants are bound? Have you heard that story about the elephant? When it is so chota, when it is so small, they tie it up with iron rods, the iron ropes, shackles, just tied up. So it struggles and struggles to a point where it realizes that it cannot escape from that. And when that will is broken, the fellow pulls it out and then puts a thread around it and hangs it there. And for its entire life, that elephant grows, because you cannot put those iron shackles, the leg has to grow, right? So it has to move out. But there comes a time when you have broken the will of the elephant. And then for life ever together, all that it has to do is this. And then the thread can be broken. But the will is broken. So it becomes slave to that master for his entire life, because he has come to a point where that will was broken and there is. So it always believes that how much ever it has tried, it has not gone. So it is not able to work through. And then it becomes slave for life. And that's the way it is. It slowly binds us, comes to a point where it breaks our will. Can we move on? That destroys slowly our life. That is when this becomes powerful. So it's not right at the beginning, not at the first puff, not at the first glass of a drink that this happens. But then time and time again, when we allow these social media, whatever that is, that takes our time and attention, where it comes to a point where we realize that we just cannot come back beyond that point. And if you are a counselor or an elder or a youth leader or a youth worker, you would probably remember this strongly, because many of the people who have struggled for a long time. And then they have come to a point where they've said, how long can I go back to God and ask for forgiveness? I've asked so much the Lord for forgiveness. I don't think He will ever accept me or He will ever love me. These are common terms. You will especially hear from young people. It could be anything from masturbation, or it could be anything that they have worked with, pornography or anything. They have fought with it, they have struggled with it, they have recovered from it just enough to fall for it again the next instant. And then the next instant, and then the next instant, and then the next instant. Suddenly they turn back and say, come on, how much can I fight with it? I don't think my God would come to a point where He will accept me anymore in life. Have you come across young leaders? When you deal with young people, I'm sure in the future you would hear these statements, because they come to a point where they realize it's better to fall off than to go back. How much my Lord also, how much of graciousness He could show in life. And then they fall for it, and then they struggle with it, and they work on it. That's why it's important for us to understand that these controlling habits can be very powerful and it can destroy our life. So finally, how can this be loosed? And that's the way we're going to conclude today. How can you be loosed from this? 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. No temptation has seized you except what is common to man. It's a beautiful verse. We should probably keep that very close to our heart, because it's very true. No temptation has overtaken you except such as is common to man. You're not so unique that only you are struggling in life. There's so much of people who are struggling in life. But God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what we can bear or tempt. But He will also provide a way out of escape that we may be able to bear it. And this is something, keep it very close to your heart. This verse. No temptation is strong enough, and if the Lord is allowing us to go through a situation in life, at no point of time we should say that this is so unique to me and I cannot bear it. If you cannot bear it, God would not have allowed us to go through. That's important as young leaders, as you work with others, and when they say, oh, this is too much for me to handle, God does not think that it is too much for you to handle. Otherwise, He would have released you from that time point easily. So let's keep that in mind, that as controlling habits as they are, it has to be found a way to be loosed as well. And this verse is something that is strong. We have to keep, no temptation has overtaken you except that is beyond this. So God lets us know that in every situation, friends. So what are the steps that we are looking at? Number one, admit we have a problem. That is where we begin this way to overcome this issue that we are going through. First of all, we have to come to a point to realize that yes, I have a... Why is this important? Why is this diagnosis important? Now, what do we pay when we go meet a doctor, medical doctor? We are paying the bill for what? Diagnosis, not for the treatment. Treatment is something else. But for them to identify that this fever or this is because of this is what we pay. Admit we have a problem. If I come to a point and say I don't have a problem, then I will not be in a position to actually deal with the problem. So many times as you deal with young people, this is probably where we will have to look at 1 John chapter 1 verse 9. If we confess our sin, He is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. If you have gone to an Alcoholic Anonymous, and which I know you would not have gone, AA meetings. Have you heard of AA meetings? Okay. At the AA meetings, for example, on the 12 points of recovery, the first thing is when they stand up and say, I am an alcoholic. That is the first step to recover. So first is admit we have a problem. Second is depend on God's power to fight bad habits. Depend on God's power to fight bad habits. Philippians chapter 4 verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Sometimes it is difficult for us to fight our own battle. And that's the best thing that we have as Christians, because there is somebody else who is there to fight our battle. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yes, so there is a way that we can move forward. So depend on God's power to fight the battle. Third is bad controlling habits must be replaced by good ones. Bad controlling habits must be replaced by good ones. I should not leave my cup empty. When the bad fellow goes and then when he comes back, he brings 7 more one, and then if he finds it empty, he is going to fill that up. You know, when the Lord was bringing all of these group from the Egyptian army, and then as they are moving forward, He made them walk all around and made sure that that's what the Numbers say, the book of Numbers says, that he had to chase away everything of the existing practice so that he could add in the new practice. Are you with me? So bad controlling habits must be replaced by good ones. D, find support from others. That's where some of you pitch into each other as well. And that's what is friends for. That's what is for leaders are there for. That's what you all are there for each other as well. We are not finding support from others so that we could go and backbite about this person to the other person. Hopefully we are open enough to a point where we are able to say that I need you in my recovery process. You got it? Sometimes we are social beings. We need each other. We come to a point where James chapter 5 verse 16, if you are caught in sin, please tell it to this person, and then together they would be able to handle with the other person. So please, let's find support from others. And then finally, take one day at a time. Matthew chapter 6 verse 11. God, give us this day our daily bread. How do you cross a mountain? You chip a little at a time. Okay, sometimes our assignments, sometimes the work, sometimes our life could look like a mountain there. But then there's always one chip that we can do. So let's do one step at a time. Any victory, no matter how minor, we thank God for that simple step that I did. So I probably, when I look back into that example that we were talking about, when I look back and say, oh, too much I have come. Let's just take one day at a time. I don't need the bread for the next 30 days. Give me this day my daily bread. That's all matters. That's all what the Lord is asking us. So let's just, as we wake up in the morning, come to a point and say, Lord, for this day, you give me the grace. If you look at, oh, you know what, I have fallen so many times, I don't think the next 80 years of my life I'm going to fall for it again. No. I think one day at a time. Just do one day at a time. You remember the story of the frogs, where the plagues, the 10 plagues that came by, and one of those was the plague of frogs. The Pharaoh's table was filled with frogs. He went to the bed, and the bed was full of frogs. I don't know how you could live there like that. Okay, so Moses is coming and saying, can I pray for you, and then the frogs will go away? It's there in a scripture. And then Moses was shocked with the answer. You know what? Pharaoh said, tomorrow you pray, and then let the frogs go away. So he was willing to actually sleep with the frogs for one more night. Imagine the shock that Moses had. Moses was probably coming and saying, I can actually pray for it now, and the frogs can go away. One day at a time. But then when we allow the Lord to work through that one day, it becomes easier for us to work things. So let's not worry about tomorrow. Let's not worry about a week or a month or a year and say, how am I going to struggle? All that the Lord is saying is, give me this day my daily bread. And I'm sure when we do that, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens my life.